Scientology's war on medicine and their general disbelief in doctors and anything related to medical knowledge. Scientology is famously anti-psychiatry, teaching its believers that psychiatry is not only bogus but downright evil, and in its place promotes a variety of unscientific and pseudoscientific practices. But from my experience and also documented proof, it's not just psychiatry. They have a very general distrust of doctors and general actual medical knowledge because it threatens their um, quote unquote religion. So this is a really good article. It talks about a lot. I'm gonna skip a little bit because it's quite a bit about things and OT3 and whatnot. Um, Scientology discourages any use of medication. Pain and other symptoms are treated by quote unquote assists. For the contact assist, you repeatedly press the injured part of the body against the object that hurt it until the pain goes away. There's also the touch assist. One person who was treated as a child said her mother wouldn't stop prodding her with a finger until she said she felt better. And I have experience with this. My dad has given me touch assist, and it's exactly as described. They just keep touching you until you feel better, and then yeah, exactly. Eventually, you get annoyed, and you're like, yeah, I guess I feel better. John Travolta did an assist. I don't know. That's not important. Assist can supposedly awaken unconscious persons, eliminate boils, reduce earaches and back pain, and make a drunk person sober. So it's sort of like the faith healing, where you go to a religious practitioner and they put their hands on you and say a prayer. And then some people, through some placebo, I would assume, do get better. So it's sort of like that. And then the people that don't, they call them quote unquote bad apples, and this is their language. Um, this is a part I wanted to talk about. Scientology allowed vaccinations but didn't permit the use of medicine for the treatment of pain or fever. Um, this is true, but most high ranking Scientologists, including my dad, are very against any kind of medication, including vaccinations. So like I have a half brother. They try as much as possible not to get him vaccinated for standard vaccines. My dad didn't want the COVID vaccine, but eventually he had to get it because of work. But before he got it, we went to Ukraine and he got COVID and nearly died. He had like a 100 plus fever for 2 whole weeks, and eventually after 10 days probably he took codeine. Had to go get it for him, and then he finally felt better. So they're very against vaccinations and medication. They think they can just pray the sickness away, basically. OTs should not have accidents or illnesses. They will blame you for getting sick, and they'll kick you out of the church for it. Hubbard was afraid of doctors. Operating things don't get sick, but L. Ron Hubbard had a variety of health problems because he couldn't get his power level down to that of a body. One, they theorize that if you take LSD once, that it's in your system permanently, and so was the birth of the drug treatment program Narconon, which my dad is ahead of actually. Fundamental feature of Narconon is the purification rundown, a 3-week program to eliminate toxins. Patients spend up to 8 hours a day in a sauna. They exercise and take massive doses of vitamins, especially niacin. Niacin causes skin flushing and tingling sensations, which they interpret as evidence of toxins being purged, whereas in reality this isn't actually, it's just a cause of niacin. One woman said basically it's just a bunch of placebo, and they force you to believe it using the cans because if you don't, then you don't pass. Psychotic episodes were treated with the introspection rundown, solitary confinement, vitamins, calcium, and magnesium. And this calcium and magnesium, trust me, they swear by it. They make like big containers of it. Lisa McPherson died from this introspection rundown. The medical blah, blah, blah. One former Sea Org member said he went psychotic on OT3. One auditor was declared a suppressive person and had a nervous breakdown, and instead of treatment, he was punished and made to do manual labor. So he escaped, killed his wife, and committed suicide. Anyone who questions Scientology doctrine is sent to RPF. So I made a video on this that it's essentially a labor camp. So it has been compared to the prison camps of Soviet Gulag. One Sea Org man was forced to shovel up asbestos in a renovation project with no protective gear, not even a mask. A woman was made to weld without protective glasses. She burned her eyes and got no medical attention at all. A severely handicapped MS patient who was unable to talk was sent to RPF. And medical treatment is often cruel, and often is not. It's always cruel and inadequate. A little deaf mute girl was isolated in the Sea Org ship's chain locker for a week because Hubbard thought it might cure her deafness. This other woman died of a brain tumor that might have been operable, but she blamed herself for her symptoms and didn't want to take pain meds because it would interfere with her auditing, because you can't take pain medications while on course. Scientologists persuaded, blah blah blah. That's not that interesting. I already talked about some of this stuff. Brooke Shields is not that, basically anti-psychiatry. Yeah. So Scientology, it's just not that important. So I'll link this article in the description, and then also they linked this diagram, which I feel is very accurate. Scientology is all the way in the middle, and it's just all the different reasons: anti-vaccination, etc., etc., etc. So they're not the smartest people.